Rugged Shooters channel. I'm Nick. I'm Alex. So, as promised, we're here today to give you gun reviews, gun talk, and everything that goes along with that. So today we will be reviewing the Glock 45 MOS and the non-MOS version. So a few things to note first. We've taken all safety precautions with this. We have cleared all the weapons, all the firearms you see on the table before we actually started this video to make sure that we're safe and everybody around us is safe as well. So what to expect today? Expect a full specs of the Glock 45. Expect to talk about how we carry them, and pretty much a couple of videos of us shooting an actual gun, and we'll end with some 2A talk. So as promised, we are here to give you some specs on the Glock 45, both the MOS and non-MOS versions. So what you see in front of you now is the Glock 45 MOS. It is chambered in 9mm, 9x19. It's Glock safe action pistol. It comes with 3 17-round magazines, which we'll show you and later on in the video. The barrel length that it has, talking from the rear of the barrel to the front of the barrel, is approximately 4.02 millimeters. It has a loaded weight, meaning that when you put all 17 rounds in the magazine and the magazine into the magazine well, it weighs approximately about 30 to 31 ounces. So with the Glock MOS, it comes with these standard plates, and there's several plates in the box when you get it, and it allows you to put different optics on the weapon. So as you see right now, I think I'm using the Glock plate number 2 to mount my Vortex Viper onto the top of the slide. Again, these are optics ready. The MOS means modular optic system, and again, it allows you to put different types, RMRs, Trijicon RMRs, Vortex sights, both the Viper and the Venom, Hollow Suns. It allows you to mount them straight to the top of your slide. Now, one thing I will note that I did not necessarily care for when buying this is these 2 mounting screws up here in the top. They weren't long enough, so I contacted Vortex, awesome customer service, and they ended up sending me out for free 2 longer screws to mount all the way through the slide. Well, not all the way through, but enough to mount this optic properly. As you can see, we still have the standard Glock sights on here. We're working on putting more suppressor sights. So as of right now, you can see that if the optic goes down, I will not be able to co-witness through the optic itself. So I'll have to get taller suppressor sights, so that way if the optic goes down, I can still co-witness. So some noticeable features about the Gen 5, okay? So the Gen 5 has these finger grooves that are cut out. We have a straight edge here. I'll bring out a Gen 4 type of Glock, and it'll be, you know, a little different here with the finger grooves inside of the magazine, or on the magazine well itself. So that is something that they kind of went back, if you will, to the Gen 3, Gen 2 era and cut out those finger grooves. I really enjoy the placement of my fingers without the finger grooves. Also, something they've upgraded on here is the flared mag well. We'll see if we can get that in the camera. It's not like an extensive competition flared mag well, but it is a beveled cut, allowing for easier access to your magazines when you're reloading or loading your magazine. In the box, you should also get back straps that come, make it a little bit bigger in the back for some of you people with bigger hands, or you just like the back straps themselves. I personally do not use them, but I believe it comes with about 3 or 4 different back straps that you can use. And again, I don't use them just because of the way that the Glock fits in my hand. Another thing that I like to note is this super high cut. Most Glocks have this already, Gen 4s, Gen 5s. This has been a relatively good thing that Glock has provided us to get a nice high purchase on the weapon. So that's a really nice feature as well. Moving around to the other end of the slide. So this is Glock's adapter rail or attachment rail. I got to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big fan of Glock's attachment rail. I like something with a fuller Picatinny rail so you can adjust forward or backwards on the or whatever you put on your light, laser, whatever you decide to put on there. And as some people that are watching this video may know, that certain lights like my TLR 1 HL, it has a plate on here. So go ahead and Alex, see if you can zoom in on that. It says GL on the adapter plate, right? So most of them come, but if you decide to take this off and you've lost the other plates, you're either going to have to reorder plates to attach it to another weapon, or you're going to have to run it just where the Glock sits. So it sits pretty far back on other weapons, but that's kind of what it looks like when it's not mounted. I do like this light a lot. You can just stand by for more videos to come about attachments and lights and lasers, but I do like this light a lot, and I use it on a lot of my weapons. So moving around through the top, one noticeable thing about the Glock 45 Gen 5 is the front serrations on the barrel itself, or the slide itself, and so that makes it easier to grip when you're chambering around. Some people have, you know, thick need this much torsion to pull the slide back, so that's a really good upgrade that they've done. And as you can see, I'll pull back over the Gen 4 as well. You can see that it doesn't have any front serrations on the front of it, but all in all, still Glock, still a good weapon to have, pistol to have. You can see that it has a magazine release, and it is, I'll flip this over real quick, it is interchangeable if you're a left-handed fire, and it does have the slide lock on both sides of the weapon. Standard Glock safe action pistol, like I said before. This right here is your trigger, your standard Glock trigger. That's housing about between 5.5 and 5.8 pounds of pressure. So what that means is, I'll rack the slide back, make sure we know it's clear. All right, so that just means pretty much that when I pull the trigger, I'm having to press between 5.5 and 5.8 pounds of pressure. And you can listen, I'm still pressing, and boom, it goes off. Okay, so I'm not the hugest fan of running Glocks into competitions because of that factor right there, but it's a good home defense slash self-defense trigger. It definitely has a loaded chamber indicator on it, like most Glocks have for the years now, letting you know when there is a round actually inside of the chamber. So again, we're not going to talk much in this episode about the sight itself, but again, I am running a Vortex Viper on here, 6 MOA dot, and I'll be honest with you, so they make another one that looks like this, the Venom, okay, and there are noticeably different things about it, obviously, but the one thing I like about the Viper versus the Venom here is that the battery terminal is on the top, where on this one it's on the bottom of it, meaning that I have to take this off of the slide itself to replace the battery when it dies, and then I have to fine-tune the optic again to my weapon, seeing how I cannot co-witness through the sights. So yeah, that's about it for the Glock. It's just a standard Glock. The only upgraded ability is, or noticeably upgraded ability, is the modular optic system, the slide cut, and the flared mag well. So I'll go ahead and I'll break this down for us. It's standard breakdown procedures like Glock, pulling the 2 tabs, sliding it off. Okay, so standard Glock spring inside of there. Standard barrel inside of it, all Glock components. Yeah, you can see I've been running this gun for a while now. I'll be honest with you, you know, for the price, I think the price for this was somewhere around between $500 and $600, and I've seen them all the way up to, you know, roughly, you know, $650. Again, you're paying that little bit of extra money to have this slide already milled out for, you know, optics to be put on this weapon. Standard Glock trigger system inside. nothing noticeably that I need to notate about that. You know, if you have questions about it, please hit us up at ruggedShooters@gmail.com. Again, that's ruggedShooters@gmail.com if you have standard questions about the trigger mechanism in here. And it's fairly you can see, like, just field strip 1 2 3 4 parts. I mean, that's it to really, you know, give yourself a good range clean. You know, that's it. You know, the guts to the housing, it comes out. You know, we're not going to do that in this video, but you know, the standard guts come out if you really want to get down and dirty with it. But I'll be honest, guys, you know, I've had this pistol for probably 6-7 months now, and it has really been, you know, an advantage to carry this pistol. It is definitely something that I would advertise getting. I would like to move over to the non-MOS version and go over some more standard things that you can find when you find a standard G40 Glock 45. So this one, it's a little bit more upgraded than mine, than what you've seen. So this is actually Alex's pistol. You can see the ZevTech magwell, flared magwell on it. That's a really nice feature that Alex added to his. So I would like to note, when you do buy these, just know that it's going to sit flush deep down inside there, so it's going to be really hard for you to get your fingers inside of there if the magazine gets stuck. But I'm telling you, like, I don't think I've ever seen a magazine get stuck in a Glock. I mean, you can just see how easy this thing is to come out whenever you press the magazine release. I think Alex did a really good job with that as well. He added some painting finishes to the top of here, which made it look really nice. You can see the difference in between my slide and his slide. I think it looks really nice. He did a really good job on that. But again, the slide is not cut out here. The slide is not cut out. So, you know, depending on where you live and what the going rate is around, you know, I think that you could have a slide cut for somewhere between $150 to $250, maybe even $300, depending on who's doing it and what they're doing to it. But again, same exact pistol, just the non-MOS version of it. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. You can probably pick these up. You know, blue label deals are always going on for you military and law enforcement officials, but you know, a standard civilian that would like to pick this up would probably pick it up between, you know, $450 and $550, depending on where you get it and who you get it from. So I would just like to point out just something that people don't normally know about the Glock 45. So the Glock 45 versions, you know, both the MOS and the regular 45 itself, it's a 19X. That's all it is. It just comes in black. When the military was, or the Army, I should say, was going through a pistol change, they were a couple years back, and everybody should know now that they have switched to the Sig Sauer P320 M17 pistol. But Glock was in that bidding war with trying to get the government contract. And they had created the 19X, which you can obviously know by now if you've been researching that the 19X comes in tan. So the 19X has, or was meant just for military. Well, when they realized that they lost the before they realized that they lost the contract to SIG, they were like, well, this is such a great gun that we're going to manufacture it for civilian use as well. So that's how they created the Glock 45. So the Glock 45 is a 19 slide, a Glock 19 slide sitting on a full-size frame, the Glock 17 frame. So yes, Glock 17 mags are what fit inside of here. You know, the Glock 19 mags are too short to fit inside of here. But here are the mags. They have the, you know, the orange stoppers. That's a new Gen 5 thing, upgraded spring inside of them. But I mean, these things are sturdy. I see people drop these things all the time, and they're price efficient too. I think you can pick them up, you know, standardly, depending on where you're getting it from, for somewhere near $30. So that's relatively on the cheap end. And that's one thing about Glock that we like, is that they're affordable weapons for the new gun owner, for the single mom, the single dad. They're affordable and they're reliable. They are a reliable tool to have in your gun inventory. Whereas some, like this FN8 or FNN magazine that I have, 24 rounder, that costs somewhere around $60–65 just for one magazine. So they're, you know, obviously they're a little pricey. You know, you $120 for extra magazine, for 2 extra magazines versus $60 for these 17 rounders. You can get other things, 30 rounders, you know, for those Glocks, and I'm sure they make some aftermarket magazines as well. But I just wanted to bring it out that you're sitting on a 19 slide, or you're on a 19 slide on a 17 frame. So that makes it a world of difference when you're trying to find a holster for it. So typically, depending on what brand you buy, you're not going to be able to run a 17 or 26 holster with this weapon. You're going to need to look for the 19 because it's a 19 slide, or you're going to need to look for a you know, a 17. And 17s are okay, but the problem with 17s are they are a little bit longer than what needs to be. So your holster may end up coming out to here relatively. All right, and maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't have a 17 on hand with me right now, but you know, roughly, you know, between here and there, a play inside of that holster. And again, later on in this video, we'll definitely talk about holsters and how we carry here at Rugged Shooters. And yeah, so the last thing that we're going to talk about here with the specs and the operation of this pistol is putting it back together. It's really simple. It's just putting the bolt down inside, pushing it all the way back so that it's flush against the bolt face, and then putting your buffer spring back in it, and then pushing down on it and making sure it seats really nice. I know on some pistols like my X Compact, you have to turn these a certain way for it to go back on, but not Glock. It's very simple. And then you just match up the slide with the grip, give it a rack, and it is ready to go. Again, it is ready to go. So yeah, that does it for the specs, and we'll get into talking about holsters here in a few.
Stand by, go.
Here at Rugged Shooters, we believe in the Second Amendment. We believe that it is a right of ours as U.S. citizens. It's not like driving a car where that is a privilege. It's not a privilege to own a gun. It's a right to own a gun until you commit an act that stops you from that right. We believe that we should be able to tell others about the Second Amendment and spread the fortitude to stand up for that right. Let us be your voice for the Second Amendment. Today we talked about the Glock 45, both the MOS version and the non-MOS versions, and we told you earlier in the video that we wanted to talk to you about carrying the Glock 45. Until recently, that's all that I carried was the Glock 45, and it was definitely a great weapon to carry with you. You can see it here featured in my T-Rex Arms sidecar. We won't go into full detail about this weapon or this holster, but I carry appendix, and I'll give you a brief preview of that right now. So this is just how simple the sidecar is. Okay, it's just 2 clips into your waistline, and it is on. And that is just your belt. Put your spare mag in, and that is it. As you can see, I just concealed my weapon. We talked about earlier in the video that we are sitting on a 17 size frame, okay, meaning the hand grip. So the hand grip is a little bit longer, so it tends to imprint or print your clothing. So you need to, I've learned that I need to tailor my wardrobe to what I wear when I conceal. So as you can see from the side, if I'm bending back, just to exaggerate, you can see the handle to the firearm. Over here, not as much, okay, but it's really easy to draw. It's really easy to reload and reholster. So we really like carrying like this. I believe that's the only way that I do carry. So we get a lot of questions about why do you guys carry in your appendix? So I carry it in the front of my pants, or the appendix carry, for several reasons. But the most important reason is because I have 100% control of the weapon at all times. Meaning that if I were to carry in the small of my back, or at the 430 position, or the hip position, that somebody can come up and take the weapon without me even being able to, know they're coming, right? I have full frontal focus when the weapon's in front of me. The next thing is, if I was ever to get in a scuffle with an individual, then I would be able to not have the weapon pinned between myself and between the ground. Also, it takes my firing hand. It does not take my firing hand out of the equation. If my firing arm goes down, it's easier for me to grab the weapon, rotate off the holster, and still engage that target, no matter what the consequences are, right? So again, there are several reasons why I carry from the appendix, but the main one is for complete control of the weapon at all times. I'm still able to guard my face and block, strikes or blunt force trauma, while at the same time able to draw my weapon from its holster. It would be really hard to do that while it's sitting behind your back or at the 4 o'clock position, and it limits you to how many hands you can use to draw. Again, we'll go into a more susceptible and concentrated talk about holsters and carrying in later videos that we will produce. And we'll even review some of these T-Rex arm sidecars and how we like. This is my SIG P320X compact in this one. He's got his M&P shield 9mm in that one. Very small frame, so that's probably coming up in a new video, which is gonna probably be in the next couple of weeks for the M&P shield, that is. You can probably expect, 2 to 3 videos a week, whether it's just to stop in and say hey, or something that I've learned in the gun talk community. So that's kind of what y'all can expect. So back to carrying a firearm. I carry firearms, but I practice with those firearms. The military has a saying is practice as you fight, or train as you fight, right? So I know a lot of people that carry every day, but they don't ever take their weapons to the range. You got to be able to fire those weapons both adequately and effectively. So get out to your local ranges. Get out to, and you don't have to have a tactical range like we have access to, or just take it to an indoor range. Buy you a box of 50 rounds and shoot the weapon. Learn your weapon. Learn how to manage that recoil. Learn how to manipulate your weapon from your holster to the presentation. Learn how to focus your shots. How to transition between targets. There's all kinds of drills you can do in an inside range. Don't ever limit yourself to one type of drill and that you're just going to hit the target. Try doing reload drills. You don't always have to do them from the holster. You can have them straight on the table. You can engage, and then you can reload and re-engage. One reload, one. These are just all tips and tricks for our first video. Again, we'll be sending out some target shooting drills, warm-up drills, more advanced techniques for competition shooting, tactical shooting. So these are all the things that you can expect. But in closing, we just want to remind everybody to continue to support the channel by liking and subscribing to this this channel. Again, it's Rugged Shooters channel on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook at Nicholas Garcia or Alex Huff. That's ALECXHOUGH, Alex Huff. Or you can catch me on Instagram at the_real_Nicholas_Garcia. Or you can catch Alex at Alex Huff_. Again, that's on Instagram. So there's many platforms that we're going to be using to mold this channel. I'm Nick.
I'm Alex.
And this is the Rugged Shooter Network.